Dhamma greetings. This is Aya Dhammadina, I'm a Buddhist nun and Candana Bhikkhu's one of his students. As you're about to watch a Dhamma talk by Pante, please note that he's a wandering homeless monk and he doesn't have regular support from a Buddhist community. So he lives thanks to your donations. So if you are benefiting from Pante's work, please consider making a donation via the link that is provided. Thank you.
So the question has to do with intention. Intention. When there is ignorance on the table, when there is ignorance that is functioning in the background as the very ground, the basis upon which a person's behavior is anchored, even when they come across the Dhamma, Lord Buddha's teachings, the principles that guide one to live a virtuous life, a holy life, a life that allows one to break free from suffering. All those principles, if the person's plate is dirty, meaning there's ignorance functioning there, the backdrop, the background, then they will inevitably misinterpret, misrepresent, misconstrue, and wrongly interpret the teachings. Intention happens to be one. Many people go to, to great lengths to study Buddhism, read books, read suttas even, read commentaries, so that they have more material to live the kind of life that they have been living up to that point. But these have become now, the principles and concepts have become now new tools in their toolbox. It was no accident for Lord Buddha to list the Noble Eightfold Path, the steps of it, and place right view, sammaditthi, at the very beginning. So intention. In Pali we use the term cetana. It's not just something that happens when the stars have aligned and everything is perfect and the clarity of mind is there, and then we have an intention. Intentions are happening all the time. When you agree with the sankhara flows, the three rivers of sankhara, meaning those dealing with the mind, mental sankharas, the sankharas that have to do with speech, the urge, the inner chatter that turns into verbal chatter, before it turns into actual, with your lips moving, your tongue moving, your teeth moving up and down, your jaw moving, your muscles of your face moving, air coming out, so now you can vocalize those words. Before that has taken place, the verbal sankharas have been at work busily inside you. It's called subvocal speech. That's another sankhara. And then you have the final manifestation of these in the form of the body, executing, engaging into physical actions. That's the kaya sankhara, the bodily. All of these involve cetana. All of these involve intention. They have come about thanks to intention. And they are maintained thanks to intention. So no one is off the hook. Hey, I didn't know. It came natural to me. I didn't think about it. Sometimes people have this misconception that intention itself has to be well thought out, planned out. No. No. It doesn't have to be. It is there, absolutely, but it doesn't have to be exclusively that in order for it to be called intention. This is very important. It might seem insignificant, but it's not. It's really big. Especially for these individuals who use Dhammic words, Dhammic principles, or to justify a behavior of a teacher, let's say, who lives and has lived a very adhammic life. Individuals who have misrepresented the Dhamma of Lord Buddha. And then the students come in or jump in and they say, well, that was not the intention of my teacher. How do you know? How do you know? You have to be able to ask these very important questions without worrying about, well, no, it's blasphemy. No. It's the Dhamma. Dhamma comes above everyone, including above Lord Buddha. Okay? Lord Buddha even said, if there's only one thing that I bow down, it's the Dhamma. There's nothing else. So he was the discoverer of the Dhamma. That's how we have to cherish and protect the Dhamma. But you do that with your willingness to check, to scrutinize, examine, investigate your intentions. Why are you saying that? Why are you thinking that? What is the objective of this that I'm engaged in? Or the beliefs? It requires maintaining, to hold a certain view, to subscribe to a certain tenet or belief or concept. It requires some effort. And every effort has intention underneath it. If you are not engaging in something, if you're not willing to put the effort, guess what? You are making the intention not to put the effort. It's not absent. Intention is not like absent, missing. No. Intention is very much there. To remain in ignorance takes intention. To procrastinate requires intention. By the way, I mentioned Sammaditthi, which is right view, the very thing. Guess what is second on the Noble Eightfold Path? Samma Sankappa. Sankappa means, of course, thought, but oftentimes it's not thought in a vacuum. Thought requires intention. So you can put a slash there next to the word thought for Sankappa and put right next to it intention. So right intention is the second Noble Eightfold Path, of the Noble Eightfold Path. The first is Sammaditthi. Because of that intention, the third is going to come about, the manifestation of speech, whether in your mind, subvocally, or out of your mouth, as actual verbal communication or expression. Speech itself, in order for it to be samma vacha, which is right speech, it needs to have come from samma sankappa, which is right intention, which itself has to come from sammaditthi. So you see the flow. It's so beautiful. It's so perfect. That's why no idiot can actually touch the Dhamma. If you have individuals who are selling themselves as jewelers, but they've never seen gold or silver, never seen any diamonds. They've never worked on a gemstone. What are you going to have as jewelry? You're going to have things that people pick up from the trash here and there, and they're going to sell it to you as gold, as platinum, as silver, as diamonds, as rubies, as sapphires, as emeralds, etc., etc. In the name of jewelry, in the name of something really precious. And that is what we have in the world. You see this all around you. If you come across a teacher or a teaching that is being suddenly, out of the blue, having so many followers with incredible resources, please exercise extreme caution and don't shy away from scrutinizing, investigating, instead of just jumping in like a sheep in there and be part of the herd and just go into the bandwagon and just join the boisterous crowd. No. And claiming that it to be Dhamma. It's not. It requires quiet. It requires seclusion. The Dhamma requires seclusion, you know. It tries to avoid the spotlight. It doesn't seek expansion. That's another thing. Spreading, and being talked about, and publications left and right. When I see people doing that, I have to look at their behavior. I need to look at that. Whether it's students I'm working with or individuals who are just interested in the Dhamma. And many people have many ideas. Oh, we could do this, we can have this, and we can do that, and then we can really, really make it, big and this. And I was like, hold on, tone it down. We need to check our intention in pursuing the Dhamma. Why do you want to practice meditation? That's a good question. Again, intention comes into you. It never leaves the scene, in fact. So, contrary to what many people believe, that kamma or karma, which is action, is, if there was no intention of harm, this is in relation to your question, which comes from the need to, address this thing with many so-called teachers who speak on the Dhamma, often misrepresenting it, but then the students come around and they defend the teacher or teachers, and they say, well, that was not their intention. How do you know? How do you know that was not their intention? Now they're dead and gone, or some of them are alive. There's one Tibetan teacher whose picture was actually on some magazine, and he had completely put on makeup and this and that, had a wig on, and he sells himself as a major Lama, well known around the world. And the students went wild, like, wow, what a avant-garde, what a forward-thinking, what a, he's breaking the mold type of a thing. If you have any integrity when it comes to the Dhamma, any truth-seeking quality within you, you know anything about the Dhamma, or just common decency, you just laugh at the person. He's not a teacher. He's just playing to the crowd. Whatever sells, that's what he's doing for publicity. That's not Dhamma. So there is intention there. So whenever we are misrepresenting the Dhamma, there is intention. And if you don't want to exert that much mental power to go ahead and investigate, Look at the teacher's behavior. Just look at that. You don't have to go looking at the texts. And when you're struggling so much to find legitimacy of your claims by going through this book and that book and look for references in this sutta or this discourse or looking for examples, there's something wrong. Lord Buddha said the Dhamma is not only for the elite, only for it's extremely complex. It's not supposed to be understood by just anyone. No, he never said that. It is complex, yes. But it's also very simple. It's elegant. It's beautiful. It's lovely in its beginning. It's lovely in the middle. And it's lovely in the end. That's the Dhamma. It's the reality of nature. It's the backbone of reality. It is truth. It is authenticity. No words could actually come close to defining it adequately, sufficiently, satisfactorily. But we can do our best. So, is the teacher's life, livelihood, a demonstration of that, an example of that? And that should be enough. You don't have to go struggling so much to kind of justify yourself or someone else's behavior by looking for evidence to indicate to you, no, the intention was not there. No. Has the person been benefiting from that lifestyle? Which, by the way, means intention. Oh, he didn't know that such a person was a terrible, terrible person who was involved, let's say, with some powerful elites, some drug lords, some people who are, who pulls the strings and very, very powerful individuals in the world. Crooks, corrupt individuals. Oh, my teacher had nothing to do with that. They didn't know. He didn't know. They were involved in such crimes. Wait, hold on. Did your teacher benefit from that? Have the ticket prices gone up ever since he took those pictures with the president and the first lady? And then the other president, and then the other first lady, and then the other president, and the other first lady. Or this prince, and then that king, and that royal highness, and that princess, and this and that. Or these celebrities who turn out to be pedophiles and things. Well, my teacher didn't know anything about that. That was a picture that was taken. It was taken out of context. But he's shaking hands. They have selfies and they're shaking hands and hugging. Why was he there in the first place? That takes intention, You have security people, this and that. Cars have to be driven to take you from point A to point B. Planes have to fly you to that country, to that location. Arrangements have to be made. You have to say yes or no to certain things, all of which require intention. So we cannot brush it off, shrug it off our shoulders and just say, oh, no, just this is not, that was not the intention. Or sorry. No. When a person who's supposed to be a monk sticks out his tongue and says to a child, come and kiss it. You're supposed to be a Buddhist monk. There's no touching involved. Anyone. Let alone that, and let alone to a child. No justification could come up after that. It's beyond justification. And if you're still confused, take a person any person who's not in that very prestigious, respectable position, and you have that person say those words and behave in that manner and see what happens afterwards. How many people come and pick him up and put him in a nice little van and take him straight to the prison? Prosecute. How many media outlets will blast away at this person who is despicable? Every one of us will agree to that, of course. But when you have a monk, or especially a celebrity, so whose intention is it that this is being brushed away, shrugged off, and saying, oh, this is not important, this was not their intention, this is cultural? That's mumbo jumbo. How many people of that culture do you know go around sticking their tongues? I've met a lot of people from that culture. I've never seen, for many years, I've never seen them stick their tongues out and they say, come and do that. Despicable. That person, basically, if he hadn't disrobed, he disrobed himself in public by that action. He's not a monk. He doesn't deserve to be called a Buddhist monk, any tradition, I don't care. So you see, but the students are the ones who are also taking part in the wrong kamma, which brings with it a lot of consequences. When we wear the robes, and this is only because I mentioned that monk, a very famous monk everyone knows about. I'm now turning towards monastic teachers. But this goes for everyone as far as intentions go. For everyone, you don't have to be a teacher only, but just the intentionality. But when we're wearing robes, Buddhist monks' robes, our actions become magnified. The consequences of those actions especially. Because we are supposed to be representatives of the Dhamma. People don't realize this. They put on the robe, they take off the robe. There's one very, very powerful Buddhist monk. This one is a Theravadan. He received a special award from the head of the state, of the country he's in Southeast Asia. A very famous monk. Other monks had also been granted in previous, whoever had held that position as the chief abbot of that major center in Southeast Asia. Others had also been awarded that title. But, unlike this person, they had that be sent to them. Or a special ceremony was held where they still carried themselves as a Buddhist monk. And they were granted that title and all those things that come along with it. However, this particular monk, I really have a difficulty calling him a monk because he's not a monk. Because guess what he did? He disrobed, put on a suit. He didn't pick it up. They didn't bring him a suit. He had to go. Somebody had to go to a tailor, or they had to go to a mall. You have to remove the robes to wear something to see, to try it out, to see if it fits, the sleeves, this and that. You have to wear the pants, you have to have a belt, you have to wear the shirt, you have to find a tie. Before becoming a monk, I had a whole wardrobe with suits. I know what goes into that. You have to try these things out. Intention. Now, if you've been a monk, if you're a Mahatera means anybody who's been a monk a Bhikkhu for over 25 years. Long past that, by the way, with this person. he disrobed and put on a suit and went to the head of state's palace, where photographers were there, as he was being pinned on his lapel, on his jacket, on his tuxedo or whatever suit he was. I saw the picture. I didn't believe. I had a tough time believing my eyes, but there it was. I know the person. Where was the intention? And guess what? By the way, he's still there. He's still, people go and bow down. Thousands of people go and pay obeisance. They go and they give dana, they give generosity, they give him things, properties, temples, this and that. And guess what? Over 90%, if not 100%, of those individuals who go to pay their so-called respect know about that event. I, as a Buddhist monk, when I learned about this, I felt like a fool. Because all these people I saw, who knew about it? And you cannot go and be, you take off the suit and put the robes back on. You cannot do that. You're disrobed. You have to go through the whole process again. And there's even the way we remove the robes. If you're going to disrobe, the person has to make, has to be very seriously considering that. It's a big step. And you have to, you're asked, and you have to be determined, and you have to declare it to a bhikkhu 3 times. That never happened. Because the person had his robes right there, and he just put it back on, took off the suits, and probably the suits are still there in his closet for other events, other award ceremonies coming up. Now, they have to deal with the consequences of their intentions, yes, but the lay people are not immune. Now, that person dragged these lay people who are still, keeping it in the hush-hush department. That means you have placed this person, this teacher or that teacher above the Dhamma. And that is a serious offense. Not against the temple or against the monks or against a country or the ethical or legal body of some country somewhere, higher courts or no. Much bigger than that. And you have to deal with it. You have to carry it with you from life to life. It's a heavy burden. It's a heavy, heavy, heavy burden that these individuals that I've mentioned so far, including the one who stuck his tongue out, and later on they said, it's a cultural thing. Absolute rubbish. Look at the PR that is like on retainer. So much money being poured in so that they could come up with that. That person who's announcing it to the public, they don't even believe their words that they're reading and for the media. I was like, my jaw dropped when I saw it. And when I saw the justification. At first it went quiet, and then until they figured out what should be the narrative. Well, how should we play this? How can we get us and him out of this mess that he created? Oh, it's a cultural thing. Look at the amount of money and power involved, which, by the way, also takes intention. A lot of it. So one lie leads to another lie, and then you want to cover it up, and then you get more lies, and these people had to have the audacity, the nerve, or the at least integrity to walk away with the little bit of self-respect, if they had it, and just live with integrity and say, you know what, I was a fraud all my life. I've just been a puppet for the camera to, celebrity monks. and history would have spared them a little bit. Dhamma, to go against the Dhamma requires intention. And Lord Buddha was not like, the punisher or judging this and that. No. He was always working to protect the sasana, the dispensation that he left for us. While he was alive, many people were doing many things that were against the Dhamma. But Lord Buddha would always give them an opportunity to come, present themselves, and he would ask them, did you do this? Is it true? You look at the thousands of suttas, you see this. I'm not making any of this up. It's all there. Nothing is mine. That's the fun part. Nothing that I'm saying is mine. It's coming from the Dhamma and my exposure to living conditions, individuals, behaviors. The sad part is that these individuals now, they don't have the integrity that you see in the suttas, in the discourses, often where a person is called in and Lord Buddha scolds them after it's found out that yes, and they admit, yes, Bhante, this is what I did, this is what I said. And there's a quick response from Lord Buddha. But usually he tries his best to instruct so that he can get the pernicious views out of this person's mind by showing him reason, asking questions, pertinent questions, like, why did you become a monk? I just covered one sutta yesterday, Kakachupama Sutta, on the simile of the saw. Lord Buddha is talking to Venerable Molya Pagguna about this, a situation where he had created. And he said, is this why you willfully went and, went forth, put on the robes? You left your comfortable lay life, where no one was going to come and say, well, you can't talk to women, for example. As a layman, no one says that. As long as you're not being, indecent and you're being respectful, no one's going to say anything. So you don't have these extra limitations, shall we say, as you do now, but you're now carrying yourself as if you were a layman. Why are you doing that? Are you still wanting to be a monk? He says, yeah, that's basically the line of questioning. And he realizes his mistake. And Lord Buddha always says, when a person realizes their mistake, they apologize, they are truthfully apologizing. You never see a single instance, a single time, a single moment, a single example where somebody genuinely came asking, apologizing, and they were not granted immediately forgiveness. You don't see that. Every single time. If the person was genuinely there to apologize, asking for forgiveness, they received it immediately. And the answer to that, the logic behind that was, and you see this all the time, Lord Buddha or the Arya Savakas, the chief disciples, would say, it is for the benefit of the dispensation, of the Dhamma, that when someone realizes their mistake and comes forward and apologizes, it's a good thing for the person to forgive them. Why? Because that will help them to not be carrying the remorseful state of mind, of heart, with them, to have that guilt. Unfortunately, when the people surrounding these bogus so-called teachers, these monks, when they're nodding, when they keep on doing their ritualistic bows and this and that, while ignoring this big, big, big elephant, that this person, they know he's not supposed to be a monk. He's a charlatan wearing robes, but he's selling it well, and he's given a good image of Buddhists in this country or that area and this, and he's too famous, we can't get rid of him. That person, even if they had a moment of remorse, they look back at the laity, they look back at their supporters, and when they're seeing their big fat smiles in approval, they're thinking, well, maybe I didn't do something so bad. Yeah, and they soon enough forget, so they don't have that sense of responsibility until their moment of death, which I guarantee it is coming. Everyone will die. There's no secret. Lord Buddha has many suttas and many discourses. One of them is the seven suns, suns as in the star. And he lists the destructions that cosmos has gone through, planets, etc. That means everything was destroyed during that apocalypse, that Holocaust, that destruction, complete destruction. Diamonds, even gold, leaves on trees, rocks were melted, mountains had been obliterated, land was gone, destroyed. Where does that leave your search for power, for your search for prestige, for this property, for that title? How does that fit into that obliteration scenario? Meaning, there is this thing called death, and it's everyone's lot. Everyone will have to go through that process, as we have gone through so many times. How is that? Is that helping you to kind of recalibrate your direction, your coordinates in life? How you are taking your new intentions? Are you designing yourself? Are you making an effort to redirect yourself, to re-engage with life with a new set of intentions? You can always do that. You can always do that. Integrity. But those people that I mentioned, the two at least, the two monks, they could actually do the honorable thing and just walk away instead of still pretending to be monks. But there's so much money involved. There's so much prestige involved. And guess what? Bhikkhus, another word for bhikkhu is like, some people call it a beggar, or, you have nothing. You walk away from things. Like, it's just mind-boggling. The title, the name is there. The name, Bhikkhu. The life isn't. The behavior isn't. The lifestyle isn't. The livelihood is not. In the thousands of suttas that I've come across, I've gone through them. I've been working with, translating, narrating, studying through. You see so many of them, Lord Buddha is talking about bad monks who live adhammic lives, the opposite of Dhamma, the opposite of what is according to the natural laws of the universe, universal values. So this is not something new. This was even happening at the time of Lord Buddha. That's why he talked about this so much. But the only way we can maintain the Dhamma is, or any semblance of truth and integrity and justice, decency, we have to call things out the way they are instead of covering up for this person or that. The intention says it all. How do you know? Well, it shows in the behavior. It shows in the actions. So stop with this make-believe things. Oh, it's not that. It's not what you saw. That's a typical behavior that you see in narcissistic, toxic relationships. It's called gaslighting, by the way. I used to see this in couples therapy. I used to see this in my work with individuals as a therapist, in life, where one person is the vacillator, the other one is the pleaser. That's the dynamic. That's a fancy word of saying one is always going to pretend that it didn't happen. The other one's doing it in broad daylight. They confront the person saying, why did you do this? The other one says, no, your eyes are not telling you the truth. That's not what happened. Yeah, but I just saw it. That's not what. And then they convert it. They turn it back on you, and they start blaming you for doing something that you'd never done. And now they send you on a guilt trip. How could you be saying that about that monk? Come on. He's a good monk. Look how many celebrities he's hobnobbing with. Look how many people have been inspired by him. Look. Yeah, but he was just doing that to that child. It's on video. I saw it. I heard him say that. He wasn't delusional. He wasn't, and it's in public. There's people involved. I wasn't the only one seeing this. No, none of that is going to be discussed. So the public starts feeling guilty. Now you see the narcissistic part of it, the toxic part of it, where the narcissist, goes ahead and makes it all about the other person. The guilty becomes the unfairly accused. Despite the fact that they have this huge, intentionally committed action that is unwholesome, they want to cover it up. And that's what we have. Some years ago, you had the President of the United States standing in front of the whole millions of people and saying, I didn't do this, which is something very deplorable, something very disgusting. Lying to the people. And then children, because the families were talking about this, it was pretty disgusting, sexually explicit things. And lying became normalized. That's another word that's seeped into society today, a language of therapy. Normalization. They've normalized crime. So now it's so common to lie that they've said, yeah, it's fine. To say the truth, that has become a rarity. It's unusual to see someone, to hear someone saying lies. Unusual for you to see and witness someone telling the truth. What's the usual thing? Because I was looking at children. I was in education then, and the children were children were telling me, and even high schoolers, well, what's the big deal? The president is lying. So why am I, it's nothing compared to that. And he's being celebrated, cheered. So in Roman times, when people were being crucified, tortured, in the middle of the, let's say, Colosseum-like places, yes, the supreme power belonged to, let's say, the whoever was the Caesar or whoever was there, the headman or whatever. But it wasn't just him, the audience. That's the circus, the audience. So it's not just that teacher's intention that matters. That's what I want to say. It's those students that are covering up for the teacher and saying, well, let's not talk about it. Yeah, we know, it was not right. Yeah, but let's move on. Well, in the case of, it might be so in politics, in other areas of human endeavor, social things, mores maybe, but organizations. But when it comes to the religious arena, it doesn't work. Because the person forfeited their position. It's called a defeat. We have a term for it, parajika. It's a defeat. When a person does something like that, we have rules. So no way of wiggling yourself out of that mess, of your intention. Now you can always come up and be do the right thing, be something that these monks keep talking about, integrity, this, that, compassion, nonsense. it has to show in their behavior. Lord Buddha was the embodiment of all that he taught. And he's not just a singular example. That's never supposed to be the case. You should never have the founder of a religion or religious path be the ultimate or the only example. That's a failed religion in my book. The students have to be able to match it. And that's why Lord Buddha taught. Lord Buddha taught so that he could open the doors, the gates to the deathless. That's what he did. And he did that successfully. Why? Because it has been countless times where his students, male and female, attained to those levels, to those lofty states of sainthood. Just like Lord Buddha. So I wouldn't want these replies to questions to listeners and to be in some way or other discouraging as to the state of the dispensation of Lord Buddha. Absolutely not. These things are simply there. It's like driving. So when I used to drive the car I had in Los Angeles, I sometimes would go to some streets in the city or up in the mountains or suburbs where there would not be any lamps, street lamps. And for some reason, at nighttime, and sometimes the car's light would not work, or one of them was not working well, or the high beam isn't working. It's really dangerous. If you don't have these, what I'm trying to say is, I'm using a metaphor of those street lamps that work to highlight what is on the road in front of you. And if there's a big boulder, we need to know that. And these are huge boulders that we have to not pretend that this is not there. No, it is there, and we have to take steps, measures. Would you hire someone in your company who does that? Somebody who misuses their power and authority that you've given, because that's what these people have done. They have given these positions to these monks, these teachers, not just the monks now, everyone now. Would you hire such a person? Would you keep them on their job when they do immoral things, unethical things, illegal things? No, of course not. Well, what's the catch here? Because they can't get carte blanche. So our standards have to be universally spread. We shouldn't have double standards, because that tells us then about the individuals, the lay people who are supporting such ways, or the students of these teachers who are justifying the teachers' wrong actions through and through. Because you do have good monks also who see this unethical, immoral, and absolutely unacceptable behavior and walk away from such circles. You don't want to have anything to do with such groups, because integrity is what's missing, and it doesn't mean that it should miss you. You shouldn't. You have every right to maintaining your own integrity, and you can only maintain your integrity if you are watchful of your intentions, protecting your intentions, making sure that they are universally based. They are for everyone, not just for you, and not just for now. That means the teachers, those that really were pure individuals, beings of yesterday, those who are still around. You won't find them though on being interviewed at CNN or mainstream media. You're not going to find that. Such individuals who are avoiding such crowds, good teachers, good saintly individuals, and those that will come in the future, those pure saintly teachers or saints, how will they look upon this action that I'm about to commit? Would they approve of these intentions that I'm holding in my mind, in my heart? Would they approve of it? Or would they celebrate it? So all these things allow you to know whether this action that you're about to engage in is really far-reaching. And is there tranquility and equanimity in your heart before, during, and after? There needs to be joy. There needs to be tranquility. There needs to be this sense of bliss. Sukha is a word that we use. It's a soothing state of happiness that's undemanding. It gives you the sense of contentment, santuti. That's how you know that you're on the right path of having chosen the right intention. And there's only good that could come out of that, ultimately.